This is the verification of Lab 7. So right now we have the hardware all hooked up, and the channel 1 is the original input signal, and channel 2 is the signal that was passed through the filter. So we also have cursors on here that show the voltage range of the two signals, and based on the calculations previously done in MATLAB, the gain is equal to about 15 if you divide these numbers. And also the frequency is the same as you would expect for the first case, where the sample contains all 4096 numbers. So this is the second part, where you can see that the gain has remained constant because that doesn't change too much as you change the number of samples you're taking, but the frequency has increased because you're taking every other sample of the original 4096 samples rather than every sample, which corresponds to a increased frequency. So that's for part 2. So this is the third situation. So I've increased the number of samples again in SDK. So you're taking every third sample of the original 4096 array rather than every sample. So you can see the frequency has again increased. So as a proof of concept, you can see that I've again changed the number of samples to 4. So now we're taking every fourth sample rather than every third sample. So if we watch the waveforms, once this gets uploaded, we should be able to see the frequency increase again once it finishes uploading to the board. There it goes. So again, the frequency increased again, whereas the gain remained relatively constant, which makes sense. So you can see I've again changed the number of samples to 5 this time, so now we're taking every 5th sample rather than every 4th sample. And then once this gets uploaded on the board, we can go back to waveforms, and eventually you should see the frequency increase again. Yep, so the frequency again increased, which is expected. Oops, I bumped it with my elbow. There we go. So I again increased the number of samples from 5 to 6. So now we're taking every 6th sample of the array rather than every 5th sample. And as soon as this is finished uploading to the board, we should see that the frequency is again increased. And you can see that right there. So I increased the number of samples to 7. So now we're taking every 7th sample. And uploaded it to the board, and you can see on waveforms that the frequency again increased of the both the input signal and the output signal, which has been passed through the filter. Finally, I have increased the number of samples to 8 in SDK, so now we're taking every 8th sample. So we're generating an original array where with this new so we're taking every 8th sample. So now in waveforms you can see that again the frequency is increased. So that is the demo for Lab 7.